We are used to running away from pain. Modern society sells us perpetual happiness, the constant smile, the uninterrupted productivity. But what happens when the ground opens up beneath you? What happens when the weight of the world seems to fall upon your shoulders like an armor of lead? Carl Jung taught us that this is not the end, but the beginning. In alchemy, we call this prima materia. It is the confused mass, the original chaos. You feel lost, heavy, formless. Do not reject this state. The alchemist knows that without this dirty and despised raw material, no transformation is possible. Gold does not come from thin air. It is extracted from the mud. If you feel like your life is crumbling, pay attention. The great work has begun. When we accept the weight of lead, we are pulled down. It is the gravity of the psyche. Consciousness, which previously operated with solar clarity and logic, begins to be invaded by mists, strange dreams, disturbing synchronicities, a feeling that reality is leaking. Jung called this the lowering of the mental level. It is like descending into a damp cave. The ego kicks, screams, wants to return to the lit surface, but the soul demands the descent. This is where many give up, medicating the symptom without hearing the message. But we, seekers of wholeness, know that one must descend to the roots of the mountain to find the vein of gold. We arrive at the most grotesque and necessary phase, the putrefactio, the rotting. Everything you thought you were, your titles, your social masks, your vanities must die and decompose. It is a biological process of the soul. Just as the seed must undo itself in the dark soil to germinate, your old identity must undo itself. It hurts. It smells bad. It is humiliating. You look in the mirror and do not recognize who you see. There is a deep sadness, a lethargy that paralyzes. But remember, new life feeds on the decomposition of the old. Without putrefactio, there is no germination. Allow the old you to rot. In the darkness of this decomposition, we encounter inhabitants we would prefer to ignore. The shadow. Jung was categorical. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. In this stage of Nigredo, the shadow comes out of its lair. Your most unspeakable fears, your envy, your rage, your forbidden desires, they surface not to be destroyed, but to be seen. The horror you feel when looking inside is the first sign of real honesty. The alchemist does not look away from the flask where the substance boils and darkens. He observes. Observe your monsters. They carry the vital energy you need to be reborn. Here we need sharp discernment. There's a thin line between pathology and the initiatory process. Clinical depression can be a stagnation, an endless cycle of maladjusted brain chemistry. Nigredo, however, has a telos, a purpose. It is dynamic, even in its stillness. In Nigredo, there is a sense that something is being gestated in the dark. In sterile depression, there is only the void. If you feel that your suffering is teaching you something, forcing you to change, stripping you of illusions, then you are in alchemy. If this resonates with your soul, consider subscribing to the channel as we are just beginning to descend. There exists a paradoxical image in alchemy, the soul Niger, the black sun. It is the light that shines in the absolute darkness. It is the wisdom that only suffering brings. When all is lost, when the ego gives up control, a strange clarity arises. You realize that you are not the master of your house. You realize that there is a greater force, the self-operating behind the scenes. The black sun illuminates what is essential and leaves in the shadow what is superfluous. It is the night vision of the soul. Learn to see with this dark light. It reveals truths that the light of day hides. The risk of Nigredo is drowning. The alchemists warned about the danger of getting stuck in the lead bath. The fascination with the abyss can become addictive. Victimhood is a sweet trap. Look how I suffer. Look how deep I am. This is the ego hijacking the process. Jung warns us, touch the bottom, but push off to rise. The goal is not to live in the darkness, but to traverse it. Do not fall in love with your own sadness. It is a tunnel, not a residence. Keep the fire of the observer burning. The mortificatio is the operation of grinding the matter. Psychologically, it is the grinding of the ego. Does life deny you what you want? Have your plans failed? Were you rejected? Good. That is mortificatio. Every blow life gives you now is breaking the hard shell of your selfishness and arrogance. The ego must be reduced to dust so that it can be mixed with the water of the spirit. The more you resist, the more painful the grinding. Surrender to the pestle. Let life reduce you to the essential. What remains after the grinding, that is who you truly are. The alchemical fire is not a common fire. It is a gentle, constant heat, the heat of incubation. It is your capacity to endure the tension of opposites without acting impulsively. You want to run, but you stay. You want to scream, but you observe. This holding of tension generates intense psychic heat. It is this heat that cooks the soul. If you run to distractions, vices, empty entertainment, noise, you put out the fire and interrupt the cooking. Endure the heat. It is transforming your internal molecular structure. Finally, after the long night, the gray begins to appear at the edges of the black. The phase of albedo, or whiteness, approaches. The chaos diminishes. Emotions calm down not by repression, but by understanding. You emerge from the cave not as the same person who entered, but as someone washed, purified. Worldly things seem less important, and a subtle peace settles in. Depression gives way to serenity. You survived the dissolution. You faced your demons and had tea with them. Now, the dawn announces itself. Prepare yourself, for the light that comes now is no longer the naive light of the beginning. It is the light of wisdom. Leave a like if you are ready for this dawn.